Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Publishing Disrupted. I am Mick Silva.
And I'm David Morris, literary agent and publisher.
Oh, right. I'm an editor.
Yeah, that's right. You are.
Yes, and I'm a freelance editor now. We are talking about disruption in publishing and exploring the ways in which book publishing is changing and how writers can best meet that challenge. We had been talking beforehand about a little bit what we want to talk about in this new year, and we missed last week because of the snow. It's currently snowing again.
Yeah.
I can see out the window.
Yeah, the weather I don't like talking about weather all the time, but man, it's ridiculous in Grand Rapids. We get lake effect snow here.
Yes. And people don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But
what happens, what the pattern has been is that we get a storm and it'll dump like anywhere from like 1 to 4 inches, maybe more sometimes.
Yeah.
But then when it blows out, there's cold air behind it, and it picks up the moisture from the unfrozen Lake Michigan.
So you get a bonus.
And then it dumps it. Yeah, it dumps it on the shores, the shore towns more than us. But man,
we're about 30 minutes from the lake shore, but it still hits us.
Yeah.
And right now, I don't think it was supposed to snow this much today, but it is.
And the ridiculous thing is that this is Lake Michigan that's snowing on us right now. And then we shovel it and then it melts and goes back into the lake and then it just comes right back on us.
It's like endless. Well, I don't know how you're feeling, but my arms are very sore from shore, lake snow right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do without talking about it. But similarly, like with this faith disruption stuff, sometimes it feels like I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So we had said beforehand, let's just share some about our own faith background and journeys, I guess, and maybe where we are. I don't really know where I am, but I guess I can talk about that.
And try to connect it to publishing.
Exactly. Like why we say we're two former professionals in the Christian publishing space. We're learning to navigate this new market, but at the same time, and we've always just sort of quickly sidelined this conversation, but we're also disrupted in our own faith journeys and as people not going to church anymore. That's a big deal from where we come from. That was a big decision for my wife and I know you guys too.
And if I could just stop for a second, just to set it up a little bit more. I think as publishing professionals, you are engaged with your content, no matter what you're doing, no matter what genre you're in. Sure. You are somehow emotionally, psychologically, sociologically engaged with your content. It's not a blank slate. You're not a blank slate.
Right.
You put yourself into it. It's an interaction. It's a relationship. That's especially true, perhaps, if it's spiritual/religious publishing, which is what what we specialize in. So talking about our faith journeys, I think, is absolutely relevant for this podcast.
Right.
If we can not go down all the rabbit holes.
Well, and I need to try to stay on topic because a lot of times, it will digress.
Yes.
Into
me too.
Emotionalism and stuff. Not that I want to be all logical about it, because clearly, you're talking about God, and so how do you be logical about that?
Yeah.
But just to set up the topic, faith disruption. There has been a lot of this talk.
Yes, absolutely.
And everybody, I think if you're an American, and you make this point well, you have to deal with it. You have to see it. It's in your face, right? If you're a progressive, even if you're called a progressive, it's just that's terrible. That could be the kiss of death in certain circles, especially where we were coming from.
Which should tell you something, but go ahead.
Right. They don't even know necessarily what they're talking about, but they're going to slap a label on you. And then deconstruction in general, what that means in terms of faith. Deconstructing from your traditional viewpoint of faith. And I think we both would admit that we have been doing that. We are both long time, as pastors' kids growing up, we are both long time believers. And so some of the deconstruction that's more recent doesn't feel relevant to me because I've been doing that my whole life. I've said before, I don't feel like I ever was fully in the camp.
Yeah. And let's make sure we bring that up as we go along.
Sure. Yeah. So some of the background on this, I think the Global Center for Religious Resource or Religion was saying there's basically 1 in 3 people are going through a faith disruption or would characterize what they're experiencing as religious trauma. They're a study group, and clearly, of course, my computer is restarting right now for my notes, but what I have basically figured out already is that there's a lot of people who are dealing with this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd like to explore that. And that's part of the reason for this podcast,
right,
is to talk about books and how we do that. It's
right.
coming from the professional space we have.
The numbers are definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you want to look at things anecdotally, that, people just don't go to church as much as they used to, for one thing.
Right.
And then, how do they affiliate? There's studies that ask that question, what's your affiliation? Now, of course, that can be problematic sometimes, because how does a label define someone spiritually? It's tricky, but 40%, as much as easily a third. I'm looking at, I'm not looking at the Pew data myself, but look at the Pew landscape survey that's been updated over the decades, and it's a big number,
and it's growing. That's the
point. The growth slowed some, but even the Pew people say it's going to continue to grow.
Right. And this includes people who are self-identifying as either deconstructing, no longer believing the way they did.
Right. They call themselves they're non-affiliated, or Pew calls them the nuns.
Right.
NONES.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No longer affiliated with religion.
But I mean, even people in most religious circles have heard the phrase faith deconstruction.
Sure.
At this point,
Yep.
There's ex-evangelical, there's post-evangelical. These are new terms that perhaps even represent evolutions going on from even like when it used to just be progressive or mainline.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's just undeniable.
Yeah.
What the change that's going on.
Right.
It's not as fast for some. It's too fast for others.
Right.
And everybody's on a spectrum with it too.
Well, exactly. It's a very personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can
continuum.
You can say that this causes some unrest, some disruption, right?
Yeah.
I would even say suffering from symptoms of religious trauma.
Yeah.
And what's difficult about that suffering is it's largely invisible, and you can't point at it. There's not bruises, right? The bruises are on your soul. And in as much as you talk about like physical trauma and then emotional trauma, those are increasingly like they're easier to identify now, but it's still very difficult to identify what is religious trauma.
Yeah.
And how do you even identify it in your own life?
Right.
So you need books. You need people who understand
books.
this.
Absolutely.
Right?
We're here to talk about books.
you need people who have studied this.
Yeah.
And you can't just have someone on Instagram saying this is what religious trauma means.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's difficult for me, is a lot of the talk around it sometimes is not helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I can dismiss a lot of that, and I can see why a lot of people coming from the traditional mindset or a more conservative mindset might say, well, deconstruction is just, it's all out to lunch. It's not real. Yeah. People are just making it up. Well, but if you drill down into some of the data and some of the like actual experiences of people, there is real suffering that's happening. You just don't see it.
Right.
And maybe you don't identify with it. But the people who do identify with it, it's a real thing. And there's a lot of sources from it. I mean, obviously there's people who you come in contact with, hypocritical Christians. I mean, that's a big one for both of us. Friends and family deconstructing, maybe political figures. We talk about the news recently, and it's like it's hard not to see some of what's coming out of the right, especially. The
disconnect between what we were raised.
They're saying one thing,
the values we were raised with, and then
what's.
I mean, it's just, the disconnect couldn't be more obvious.
Right.
Between the values we were raised on as preachers' kids, and how many of
we're seeing that play out.
How many of the preachers are abdicating those values, pretending they don't exist,
or
when it comes to politics.
Right. Teaching something else. Yeah. So, and then there's just like media, obviously books, social media, articles, films.
March of Science.
TV. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like science discoveries and research. There's just personal disappointments, unhealed traumas from your past that come back. And you're like, well, why did that happen? I need to investigate this. And this is part of the process, right? So a lot of those sources. Yeah, go ahead. Can
I jump in? I think that it's important to remember that there are often wider forces at play that we don't see. We Americans can be pretty ahistorical. We can be pretty self-focused, self-centered. And I mean that in the good sense of the word, but it can also be a very bad thing.
Sure.
It is. often. Without a doubt, like what's happening in America with nationalism and populism isn't unique. It's happening across the globe.
Definitely.
And you've got to, you got to think about, okay, well, why is that happening? I mean, in America, we have, I think, probably a certain version of it, perhaps the most intense version that's scaled also. But I think that, one very strong theory, this is not something I'm an expert on in terms of listing them all, but one very strong theory has to be globalism,
right?
Meaning that we are not a planet of just individual nations that just operate independently of each other. We're highly interdependent, and we're stronger when we're interdependent. And I think that that reality, as it closes, as it develops, also means that it challenges our identities.
Right.
And when people's identities are challenged, their language, what they wear, the things that they're interested in, the traditions they have, when those things are not, homogenous, it's psychologically difficult.
Right. Right.
And I think what we see right now on a global scale is a lot of people feeling fear, feeling instability, and acting out on it. Now that doesn't explain a lot of horrible things that are going on in this world, but I think it does explain some of the really big disconnect, especially psychologically in the United States.
Yeah.
It's a very unconscious thing. You can't reason with folks who are acting out of fear in the way that they are these days.
Right.
And voting for
because you're taking away their identity. You're taking away a foundational block in who they are.
Right. I think that's very much what's happening. And I think if we can look at it that way, if we can try to see some of these bigger reasons why it's happening, it kind of takes a little bit of the emotion out of it and amps things down and say, why are we struggling here?
Yeah, look at it from outside of your emotional experience of it. Yeah,
right.
And that's largely what I think a book can help you do. So it slows you down. I tell people all the time, like part of the reason I became a book editor was because, I had started in film and thinking about going into movies. It ended up scaring me because I wanted to move slower. I wanted to think rationally about things, get away from some of the emotional baggage that I was given, and take my time with ideas. Not be forced into this production schedule. Now, I went into publishing and learned that there is a production schedule that you're forced to consider, and largely the content is not as important in the business world as you'd like it to be, so I became a freelancer. But to talk about some of the results of this, I guess, religious trauma, discomfort triggering from certain people and practices like prayer and Bible reading. I mean, obviously those things can be really difficult to encounter again. Engaging in Christian activities like ministry, church services, worship music, sermons, church in general. These can be triggering. Changes in how we live and what we do. I mean, obviously that's what's going to happen when you have some religious trauma that you're trying to identify. Who we interact with, ultimately our community. And then I think what's relevant mostly to us is what we read. Because all of this, I mean, I've enjoyed so much of the discussion, but all of the material that I'm seeing come out in terms of the deconstruction from religious training and orientation, it ends up being either disappointing or affirming, and sometimes both, right? It's disappointing in the fact that it doesn't quite characterize my experience personally. It's applicable to some degree, and it's helpful maybe, but it doesn't necessarily solve the problem. And I think what we're looking at, rather than using a book to maybe solve a problem, is to give people tools, resources to then think about their own journeys and then take that into their community. And one thing that we've talked about with authors is really exciting that you can find this new community when you publish, when you write a book, when you look especially at the independent market. This is even true in traditional market. I mean, obviously you're finding your tribe, but if you can find, a number of people, we've said 1,000 true fans, you can find those people, you're going to have a new community.
Yeah.
And whether you treat it that way or as your new church or not, it doesn't matter because it's giving you the kind of resourcing that you need.
So you're saying that book publishing is one way to find community.
Absolutely.
That you might not otherwise have.
And let's identify that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean? I mean, is that healthy or is that not healthy? I think a lot of people who are stuck in the traditional model would say, well, that's not good. That's not valid. You can't find your community and your tribe of people that are basically acolytes, people who are followers. Like, they're not your contemporaries. And but they are.
But your tribe is more than just your followers. It's your colleagues and your contemporaries and your cronies. It's other authors, for example.
Other authors, editors, some people who are further along in their path than you, and some who are less far along. I mean, we're not doing any formal mentoring here or small groups or maybe programmatic like training, but we are having these discussions.
Right. We've talked about community some before, and I think what you're getting at is a little bit you can find sacred community in more than one kind of setting.
Right.
And that's largely a lot of our issue.
Right.
It's like when people talk about religion in the United States, they often use words that are connected to belief. They overlook ritual. They often overlook community. They talk about community more as by default.
Right.
Like, you got to believe a certain thing to be part of the community, and when you don't believe that thing, you're no longer part of that community.
Exactly.
Well, if that's a belief-based community, that really wasn't very much community.
It doesn't
a different
feel
kind
very,
of community. It wasn't very the healthy community.
It doesn't feel very strong.
Yeah. So what about having an author community is sacred, is spiritual. Absolutely, that's there,
and actually has more glue to it. Actually has more connection points because it's based in the kind of autonomy, agency, authenticity that maybe you didn't have in a church community. I tell people all the time, if maybe you were going to church too much, you would not necessarily be even open to such a relationship because you already gave at the office. Well, I'm not going to do here.
So we've kind of actually even skipped to the end here on talking about this. Yeah, a little bit. Right.
I want to go back.
I'm not trying to stop. I'm just trying to say I think it's interesting. It's there.
It's because I get that discomfort comes up for me. It's like, oh no, now I have to talk about my actual faith.
Oh, I see. It's an avoidance tactic.
It is.
Let's talk about positive things as a way of avoiding the negative things.
Because, yes, absolutely. maybe we.
I wasn't accusing you of that. That's
no,
for sure.
I know. I'm accusing myself here because I do it all the time. It's a little sleight of hand thing.
Me too.
As an editor, you're not supposed to import your own point of view. You're supposed to support the writer's vision.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and I use
really
that all the
way.
time. I use that in my relationship with my wife. It's not even fair.
Yeah.
But
it's like psychologists saying that they're not supposed to insert themselves into the relationship, and it's just you already have being in the room,
even by just asking your boring little question. And tell me more about that.
Yeah.
But what's personally interesting, I guess, for both of us is, I guess, the way our stories connect to what it is we do for a living and how our careers have sort of gone on this parallel journey with our own, I guess, if you will, deconstruction from the more conservative Christian religious space.
Right.
So I guess if we're going to share our own faith journeys, our own disruption journeys, faith disruption as a topic, even religious trauma, would you have characterized, I'm going to put you on the spot first.
No, it's fine, yeah.
Share mine. But would you characterize your own, I guess, faith disruption, let's say within the last 10 years, as religious trauma? Would you say that you've experienced some religious trauma?
Oh, I would say...
Is that more in your early years?
Yeah. Well, first off, I don't think I had as big of a dose as so many people.
Okay.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I did, and I think there is systemic trauma going on. There isn't like one isolated incident or one particular person, although there can be, and there are. But so yeah, I think it's mostly just if anybody knows me, I talk about this a lot. That the thing that so many of us go through when we're almost school age, about 5, where we're asked to say the sinner's prayer. That's. And sort of take on the existential breadth and depth of a concept of hell. When you're just effing little kid,
right.
and you're just trying to play and have fun and learn about the world, and someone's telling you might go to hell unless you pray these magic words.
And don't you realize what a sinner you are?
I mean, psychologists talk about that as precocious identity formation. They talk about it as a foreclosure of your personality. And I think in that sense, so many of us are struggling with that trauma of being asked to be something that we're not. It's sort of like purity culture.
Yeah.
You're asked to repress something that's actually a natural part of who you are.
Sure.
That's going to have lifelong effects for you, especially if you've done that, if you've had to do that developmentally. So, I would say, though, it's, for me, it was, should I get into my story a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
For me, the disruption probably happened. I mean, I was lucky. I kind of got out of the evangelical bubble. When I went to a state college, grew up, went to a public school, horrors, and just
public school.
very normal
right.
environment.
Right.
I had normal friends. I had one friend who was non-observing Jew, and another friend who was Episcopalian.
Yeah.
Those are some of my really good friends. One who's Catholic, actually.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, no evangelical best buds in high school, except for maybe the Baptist youth group I went to. But I think for me, what I was thinking about it before this meeting. I went to college and I fell in love with psychology. I saw in the study of psychology a chance to see nuance, a chance to see unseen things. Because I think we all know that we humans often do one thing and say one thing and do another. Come on, everybody knows that.
Yep.
Most of us aren't willing to admit it to ourselves most of the time, and that's what psychology is all about. It will surprise you with the things that it finds out or the things that it uncovers. Right. And my favorite course, it really got going. This curiosity really got going with, and I brought a book. It was a textbook. The class was called The History and Systems of Psychology.
Nice.
And we had this textbook which says it's History of Modern Psychology, 4th edition. It's not really modern anymore because this came out in 1987, which to me sounds like only yesterday, but it's a long time ago now.
It's a good year though. 87.
And I was fascinated with the people that were talked about in this book.
Oh, sure.
Like behaviorism, J.B. Watson and B.F. Skinner, William James, and of course Freud and Jung and the psychoanalytic tradition. All the different therapies.
Yeah.
One of my other favorite classes was counseling psychology. And I think, if I have to reflect back on it, I would say I saw some of these figures and I realized they're all men, and that did start to shift. But I would have to say that I saw them as, I don't know, what's the right word for it? Like shamans? People who were asking deeper questions than I was brought up to ask. Yeah. And I just found it absolutely fascinating. And I wanted to learn more. And I all these years later, as I continued to study this topic, and I have a PhD in psychology and religion, studying the two things together, more in a functional way rather than in a theological or confessional way.
Right.
There's a lot about what the discipline of psychology does to help you think critically, to help you gain deeper insight into what's really going on in your life. And it's even a practice. Psychoanalysis called the talking cure. Right. And, a lot of American psychology tends to clinicalize and medicalize treatment, and they come up with therapies, and a lot of them work and they're great. And they tend to say, well, talking doesn't really do anything. Well, no, it does. If you really are doing psychoanalysis well, it really does a lot. but it's slow and painstaking change. And that's actually the name of the game. There's no quick fix. There's no overnight change. Right. And honestly, a lot of American psychology, even as I look at this textbook again, it's very mechanistic. But you know what's really interesting is when you look at someone like William James. Well, let's look at William James for a second. His father was a theologian.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, Swedenborgian, more mystical theologian, not your typical evangelical theologian.
Yeah.
But his father, William James's grandfather, was a minister, I believe.
Okay.
In fact, William James's father, I believe it's Henry. He also has a brother named Henry, was a famous literary figure. William James's father actually went to Princeton Theological Seminary before he became a Swedenborgian. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah.
J.B. Watson, founder of American behaviorism.
Yeah.
In the 1950s, he loved to do experiments with rats. He was a seminarian first. And as I've studied psychology and particularly psychoanalysis, Freud, his father was highly religious, gave him a Bible, a Hebrew Bible.
Famously.
When he was young. I'm reading an author right now. I just finished a book where this psychoanalyst is talking about, you look at Freud's theories of religion. It's not just him doing like applied psychoanalysis.
Right.
It is integral to his theory.
Yeah.
It's part of his theory. There's another secondary literature commentator on Freud who talks about how psychology in general and psychoanalysis for sure gave us a new language to describe inner life.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's what Freud's whole critique of religion is about. It's about how are we using religion to be dishonest with ourselves.
Yes.
And that's why he's been so helpful for me over the years to continue to pick it up and read it from time to time, even though it's buried in a lot of language from 100 years ago.
Right. It's still relevant.
But so I mean, I think the ability to ask questions, to notice things, to see underneath things, to see what's going on in a subterranean way, also opened me up to looking at things sociologically, anthropologically. What are some of the wider, bigger trends, and how does this all interact? That's why Erik Erikson is one of my favorite theorists, because he's a psychosocial psychoanalyst, theoretician.
As he applies it.
So that was actually, I mean, if I had to pinpoint my faith deconstruction. I mean, I took some courses on world religions. I learned, Christianity is not the only religion in the world, and the others are, ours isn't necessarily the best, and there's no such thing as the best.
Right.
And that's missing the whole point. Right. It's not even a question of there's one way to God. It's like, some religions don't even care about God.
Right.
And it's not that they hate God or like God or hate God. They just don't have a God.
Yeah.
And so what is that? What do you do with that?
Interesting.
Oh, well, that's not as good as your Christianity. No, don't say that.
Right. How could you know?
Yeah. So I think it was just this journey of being able to ask bigger questions.
Yes.
That really I've been on this whole time.
Yeah.
And it's ebbed and it's flowed, and I was away from church for a while. I went back to church for a while. I worked for an evangelical publisher for a while.
Right.
This whole journey was still ongoing, and there were some surface changes. There were some things I wish I'd not gotten so caught up in.
Yeah.
But I'm back, and I'm now seeking again, and it's absolutely connected to the publishing work I do.
Yeah.
I was thinking too, like the other night we had dinner the other night with our wives. It was great.
It was.
And you always can talk about literature. You talk about literature the way I talk about psychoanalysis.
Yeah.
Like you see it as like a way to like stop, slow down. Now I don't want to start putting words into your deconstruction story, but I wonder, I know it has something to do with that.
Oh, very much. Yeah. Nutshell version. Just for expediency, but I'm remembering Madeleine L'Engle's Wrinkle in Time, reading that when I was probably 12.
Yeah, I definitely did not do that.
Yeah, no, I the thing about it was, I mean, I went from.
I wish I had. To a
sure, but
extent.
I mean, it just depends on parenting and what
Yeah.
what interests you had. I had a grandma who owned a bookstore.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So in Tahoe City, and she it was a Christian bookstore, but she introduced me to a lot of books.
Right. And Madeline L'Engle worked
for
out.
whatever reason. I was introduced to
70s,
Madeline L'Engle.
80s,
I'd love to look back at that and see why, because I mean, she talks about witches in that book, and there's all kinds of stuff my parents would not have been okay with, but I don't know that they knew about it.
Mm-hmm. That's the big secret in publishing. There's a lot of things that are in books.
Witches, dragons, spells. Harry Potter's not okay in the circles I came from. So like, that was probably the first foray I had, and that you can ask questions. I love how you shared about your journey, that just asking questions was part of your deconstruction journey. It was like, now, oh, wow, these guys can devote their lives to asking bigger questions than I've ever really even let myself consider before. It was very similar for me in literature, is that where I found those questions were in the characters' journeys. Like Meg, why is she different than everybody in her family?
Meg is the
Meg Murray. Yep.
The protagonist
in Wrinkle in Time. And well, this was another thing. Ramona Quimby, and a lot of girl protagonists that I was kind of going, oh, why is that?
That's intriguing.
Where are all the boys?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, because
boys were out playing.
Our culture
football,
doesn't see them as
jumping off of the roof and stuff. I mean, I did that too.
Right.
And, rode bikes to the park and all that stuff. Yeah. But still, there was like Beverly Cleary and Madeline L'Engle and a lot of these authors who I was reading.
Girls are better writers. That's the
and they're just more thoughtful. I mean, quite honestly, like men, you got so much to learn from women in your life. Just let yourself. That's one of my big things. Is like for most of my early childhood, it was like this battle between having to go to church and Christian school, evangelical school, my whole life. All of my friends were evangelicals. All of them were not happy with the church, and we would make up, dirty lyrics to the songs that we were forced to sing in chapel, and it's that kind of like trying to get away with stuff, being a rebel your entire life.
I think that snarkiness is actually there. It's just some of us forget to do it, or some of us don't admit that we were doing it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And like for me, it's a core part of my identity. I can't not be snarky. It's like.
About this topic.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
No, about this topic, about everything, kind of. Like like the British say, I always take the piss, man. I cannot help myself. And I'm a rebel, hopefully with a cause as I get older here. I'm, turning 52.
Yeah.
I would hope that I have a better focus on where that snarkiness and rebellion goes. But it is built into me. And it's by a lot of the training that I received, so I can't really get away from it now. But I also can't say I know definitively the answer to your question about God, or that I know that I know that I know,
right.
That thing that they would tell you in evangelicalism. It's the faith is the assurance, right, of things unseen. And I say, well, I guess I'm never going to have faith then, because I am definitely not assured that a God even exists.
Yeah.
Or that if he does, that he cares about any of this that's going on. And maybe, if he does care, that he can't do anything about it. I mean, there's just they're endless, these.
Yeah, and maybe that scripture passage wasn't actually talking about a supernatural personal consciousness in the sky. Maybe it was unseen things, could be other things.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
But that's not what we were told about that verse.
No, not at all. You're told what to believe and how and why, and so you can go to heaven and all that.
Right.
And then I started asking questions because of the characters in the books I'm reading. And then that just continued as I started studying literature in college and even beyond there. Kurt Vonnegut was instrumental. Aldous Huxley was instrumental. I mean, there are people, even C.S. Lewis, for whatever people say about him, he was very open to questions.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate his take on things because he was Anglican. He's outside of the evangelical fold.
He wouldn't have anything to do with today's evangelicals.
I mean, my goodness.
That would crush them, but they all worship him. But the funny thing is, he would run away from them as fast as he possibly could.
Yeah, no, he was definitely not one of these authoritarian Christian nationalist types.
Or even literalists or fundamentalists.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fundamentalists. Fundamentalism is largely what I have completely just rebelled against my entire life.
Yeah.
Anyone telling you, like the episode, the breaking out of the box episode, anyone telling you that you need to go inside a box, that's someone not to listen to. Yeah. But whether God exists, capital G God, that is.
Yes, I think that's a very important distinction.
It is. And I make it now because I think within the last 10 years, for me, the deconstruction has been more intense. And it's largely because of what's going on in the world.
Me too. Yeah.
I've identified that I am over-churched, and I can't really help that.
Yep.
That's not something I chose.
Over-Bibled.
That is just something that happened to me, and now I have to respond to it.
Yep. It's a great word, over-churched.
I think I look at beliefism, and I think, that's not the kind of faith I want to have. Like if I just assent to these certain beliefs, well, now I'm in the club.
Yeah.
And I just don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I fundamentally disagree with having to perform, I suppose, your faith for people.
And that's beliefism right there.
That is beliefism. Mm-hmm. I don't want to settle on a capital G God. I don't want to have the faith that would be so assured. I think I'm working my way to that, being okay with doubt, wonder, mystery. I mean, it leaves room for awe, but it also leaves room for some like real despairing moments sometimes. And you go, okay, well, if I don't have not just the Santa in the sky, but even just like a benevolent creator who is omnipotent, if I don't have that, what do I have?
Yeah.
And that's why I go to community. And in books has always been my community, and so I want to find the people who are like me in that way, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I think there's this great line from my favorite movie, Eternal Sunshine, where she's trying to explain why she doesn't want to date the main character. Kate Winslet's character is talking about, who she is. She's basically just saying, I'm just a messed up girl who's looking for my own peace of mind, right? So don't assign me yours. And I would say that to my parents growing up. I would say that to my teachers, the pastors.
Right.
Even now, as we're looking at authoritarianism taking over America, I'm like, anyone who's trying to assign you,
we were raised to think
their peace of mind.
Truth is something external that you have to have injected into you.
Yes, exactly. Because you're fallen, right? You're evil and hopeless without any hope, and so you need Jesus to come into your heart.
Forecloses any opportunity for you to discover truth.
Right.
In reality.
And this is the thing. If God does exist, if there's a capital G God, he's got his own agenda, his own ideas about what this life's about. And let's say that he is benevolent and if not omnipotent, at least has some effect on your life. As a loving father, as a benevolent creator, they're not going to be assigning you their agenda. That's not love. That's basically saying, right? We talk about free will all the time. Right. And this is a conundrum and a paradox, and we can't talk about it. But like, for me, the great energy is not enough. I need something more specific and maybe even personal. But it's a rock and a hard place here too, because you can't ultimately say that you are reassured, that you're assured that this God exists. Yeah. There's just no way to know.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm here now. We can't know. And I think we have to do what we can. Basically live with humility, kindness, generosity, forgiveness. Yeah. And like that's enough. That's enough religion for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's where I'm at.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to the books we might want to work on, we don't want to like what's enough? How do we start from the platform of we're not here to tell someone what they're supposed to believe or to tell them our truth, but to help them discover their truth in community with us.
Show me a journey, right? Show as an author, show me your journey. Right. And if it's fiction, put it into your character.
Yeah.
Show me them learning how to come to terms with a bigger world, asking better questions.
Yeah.
Don't answer the question. Just
and play with the community within your novel.
Right. There you go. Right. Yeah. Meg basically ends up learning that she's got a bigger community than she realized. Right. Yeah.
For me, it's, so my indie publishing company is called Lake Drive Books. And our motto is, our tagline is books that will help you heal, grow, and discover.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
What you don't hear is, we are one in Christ. Books for people who love Jesus.
Sherry would say, what does that mean?
Or what have you. Exactly. I don't even know. I've never known. I was a pastor's kid and I have a PhD.
Can you define your terms on that? Yeah. Right.
But that is intentional.
Yes.
We are defining with that tagline, books that help. Like, our goal here is to have relational ethics. Our goal here is to be good human beings first. Heal, grow, and discover. And yeah, that's
great.
That you could say that's Christ-like right there, but you don't have to say that.
No, and it's not an end point.
And I think that's
right.
Right.
It's not we've arrived. No, we're still in the process.
It's also, I think, a way of saying that religious books don't have to be defined by a specific religious content. You don't always have to connect it to this exact thing. And I think that's actually the task of our time is to put religion in its place.
Good.
Because we're a country that is, hyper Protestant.
Sure.
And that even affects the non-Protestant traditions that are here.
Right.
There's even Muslims who've claimed to be evangelicals during the Trump years. There's only a certain group
of a certain
like
type.
Trump supporting Muslims.
Sure.
There's all kinds of Trump supporters from different camps, and they're not the majority of their own camp.
Wow.
Necessarily.
Wow.
But there was a study once that demonstrated, or a survey.
Yeah. But you don't even have to go as far back as the Puritans or Whitfield or any of these the preachers and Spurgeon and others to notice that there's a particular religious Protestant ethic when we talk about family values and why people vote on the right. You cannot not be a Christian and be elected president of the United States.
Yeah,
there's a reason for that.
Yep. Or do a lot of other things. You cannot not be a Christian.
That's right. You must
even be in a conversation with some people.
Absolutely. And this is the thing that we're trying to get talked about.
And I think that's why some of the books we're doing, that's one reason anyway, why some of the books we're doing are more story oriented, even though, it's a classic in publishing that memoirs don't necessarily work. Well, they do work. There's some they're working all the time, actually.
Right.
But they generally tend to be harder to, if you're not well known, if you don't have a big platform.
Yes.
If you don't have a way to get the book discovered, even if you do have a really great story that's unique, and not just a great story, but a unique great story.
Right. A hook.
Yeah. But I think storytelling is really key to the publishing we're doing. Because I don't think, as much as we were brought up to focus on Jesus, people didn't know what to do with his stories. They're focused on Paul and beliefism.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're not actually telling stories unless it's to get around to the beliefs.
Yeah.
Jesus told a story, but asked you to kind of figure out what to do with it.
Exactly.
He wasn't giving you the conclusions.
Yeah. I really like when Jesus uses that sleight of hand stuff.
Yeah.
And he's telling a story, and what do you think?
Yeah.
What is the sum of the law to you? Or, even I'm getting too many followers here. Let's talk about drinking blood and eating my body so we can get rid of some of these, basically the performers, the people who are just here because they heard that I'm a teacher. Let's test that. Let's see how many will stay.
Yeah.
After I talk about this.
Yeah.
Or like Jesus, why are you making people leave? Don't you understand? You have to be more. Use marketing, Jesus. Use better PR. Let's just let us help you. He's like, no, let them go their way. The blind will lead the blind into a pit. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
They need to be in the pit before they realize they need to get out of it. Like, let them go, let them go. And I guess that's the thing that really helped me to recognize, like, if someone's identifying with Paul more than Jesus, let them go.
Right.
They want to do that for whatever the reason is, whether it's legalism or their own
background.
Let them
go or block them on social media because there's
wives,
no arguing with
everybody else. Exactly. You just don't argue with it.
Yeah.
Just that's where they are in their journey.
I think too, it's telling stories that are not allowed to be told by this culture that we grew up in.
That's great.
And, if there's a story that's not allowed to be told or that has to be framed a certain way and it can't be told in its own right, and we know what those stories are. And those are the stories we need to be publishing and telling. So we've got books by a transgender woman. We've got a book about an intersex person. We've got a book by a gay man who grew up in pretty difficult, constrictive religious setting where you really struggle.
Right.
Talk about religious trauma.
Yeah.
We have a couple of Black authors who are super creative. Hoping we'll find more. Just really creative. Like, I don't even know how to put a framework around what they do, and I just want to help them do it well.
Yeah.
Stories by women and men. Stories about sexual abuse. Yeah, and we're into our second book about that, actually.
Krista Brown's book. Yeah.
Stories about gaslighting. So it has a, one person described it a little bit as an edge. I kind of tend to think it's sort of more underneath. It's like, let's look what you've all been sweeping under the rug for so long.
Yeah. The stuff we couldn't talk about.
There's some earth here.
Yeah.
There's some life here.
Right.
And there's some things here that we all can learn from.
People finding a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. So absolutely. I mean, you can, I don't know if anyone's listened this far, but maybe they can, for me, I see a through line between where I've been and what I'm pushing this publishing.
Yeah.
The editorial vibe. It's not a denominational publisher.
Right.
I'm not trying to be churchy in any way whatsoever. But
the gatekeeping aspect, right? You're trying to get away from that.
Or even just that everything has to be framed with certain language.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you centering all the time?
Very good.
I mean, there are days when I go, boy, I just wish I could put the word Jesus on my titles more because I'd sell more books.
You should think about that.
Yeah, I know.
Just add in Christ.
Trust me, I've
everything.
Published all those books in the past too.
And Heal, grow, and discover in Christ. Right. Just try it.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Exactly. We're going to have a focus group on that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Or just the marketing could say that.
So I think that's what we're struggling with is we're trying to, and we've talked about this. It's like the communities around this are in turbulence. The community is being reformed right now.
Yeah.
And it's not as though we know exactly where it's going, and it may actually stay more fragmented or segmented anyway.
Like maybe that's a good thing.
Maybe that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. The sort of diversity or the strength and diversity idea. And like, that is an ideal that I have. I think what we're talking about with not being gatekeepers as publishers or even as an editor, like, what books will I work on? I got rid of my entire, it has to be Christian, or it has to have, a certain, does it even have to be spiritual? Do I have to have a point? Or does the author have to have a point? No.
A statement about God in some way.
Yeah. In fact, sometimes I think that's what I'm trying to stay away from. Like, anything that has the gatekeeping aspect to it, I just want to stay away from. I don't want to do books like that.
It shuts down the critical thinking.
There's no discussion now.
It shuts down the insight.
Yeah, it's like trying to teach me something.
It shuts down the ability to notice beauty.
Right. So if we can open up that, first of all, then we can start to realize there is strength in diversity. And if you can recognize that what you don't know is often more important than what you feel you already do know.
Yeah.
Because what you do know, they say, is about 5% of what's available out there. Look at the other 95%, what you don't know yet, and then get a little humble and start exploring that and look at it, investigate it, because it's going to change you.
Yeah,
listen.
Yes. To the world around you.
Reading does that, right? It forces you to kind of take in this larger world.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're coming to. And it's as good a place to stop as any, but we will continue to explore this. The strength and diversity concept to me is much more relevant and ultimately instructive to our modern age and where I say where we are. I mean, I guess, it's the end of January here in 2026 and it's not looking good politically, but at least from my perspective, other people might have a completely different perspective, and I want to hear that too.
I don't.
If they're willing, if they're willing to have an open mind and an open hand with it, sure.
Speak calmly about it. Yeah.
I mean, even the people saying, let's find balance. Like, where are the bridge builders?
Yeah.
Like, I hear you.
Not right now.
But also, there's a lot of stuff that we're sweeping under the rug. And are you willing to listen to that as well?
Yeah.
Right? So being willing to listen in terms of like the idea of America as a very diverse place. And not even just America, but like religion, God. God must be diverse, right?
Right. How's that all work financially as well? Well, I mean, you know,
we've talked about this.
There's a lot of money in God. And
that's right.
And that's what one of the things people don't really understand.
Yeah, and as soon as you start saying some of these things and asking questions about it, you're no longer financially viable to a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's hard.
It is. It's hard, and you have to kind of like make that calculus and question it. Just like a president can't get elected without saying they're Christian.
We're a country that wants easy answers. You know, we have evangelical culture, but
we don't have time.
But honestly,
we don't have time to think about all
culture
this.
is the same thing.
Yeah.
Psychology culture can be very much like that. Mm-hmm. I was always amazed in textbooks how they put Freud's stages, psychosexual stages, in like a chart in textbooks.
Sure.
And I would always go through his books and go, where's that come from? Where's the chart?
Where'd they find this? It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's reductive. It's ultimately like doing a disservice to Freud.
There's a lot of fundamentalism that goes on. There's a lot of, I need this answer.
Yeah.
I need this joy because I can't find it internally. Yeah. I don't have it. And I think that's what we're struggling with. It's not necessarily our fault.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, we don't need to be blamed. We need to see things we need to take responsibility for.
Sure.
But that's our challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how we do that as book publishing professionals, and what role do we play in all that?
Right. Yeah. Right. Offering resources to heal, grow, and discover.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all I can do is focus on I'm so glad I have it.
Yeah.
Even though it's difficult, I'm so glad I have this, because it feels like, okay, I am
publishing.
Yeah. I am. Yeah. Thank you. I am trying to work with things upstream.
Right.
And, I mean, they say that, when you're trying to understand, that maybe one of your loved ones is queer.
Yeah.
Or if you're trying to change your theology about that, pay attention to the queer people around you.
Yeah, exactly. And get to know someone.
And then that might change. And I feel like that's what I'm helping. Like, I mean, some of our books that are on that topic, I often will say, you say someone who's queer. Do you really know their experience?
Right.
Read a whole 60 or 75,000 word manuscript
That's
about
the thing.
it, and it will change your point of view.
Nothing like a book to help you understand someone's mind.
I've read some stuff. I've grown tons by just publishing some of these books. Like I'm reading them, and you're just going, I had no idea.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, and what you had no idea about often is that they are just like you, or that they had a very similar sort of take on it. And they actually help you think better about your own life in many cases.
Because some of them have actually gone down this path before we did.
Right.
But they were forced to.
And they've struggled in the ways that I'm struggling. Maybe it's with religious trauma for me, but it's a totally different thing for them. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that develops empathy, like, and a natural sort of connection and a natural appreciation for the diversity that we're talking about.
Yep.
So let's continue on next time. This is really good. That's not the end all of course, of everything we'll talk about with our own faith.
We repeat things we say, so.
And it's going to change. It's going to change over time.
If there's a listener out there who's heard us repeat things, I'd love to know that, because that means you've really been listening.
That's right. Thanks for being here, and we'll catch you next time.